Are you ready for a brand new radio show? It's a platform for you to express your experience or views on any topic or theme. The Black Experience Show is the only 5-star rated show on radio, presented by the mental farmer, Dr. Lyndon Walters, talking high science for the mind, emotion, and body in his unique style on Bless Radio, every Saturday, 10 a.m. through 1, or on the World Wide Web, www.blessradio.org. You can call or text on
07944 431 366. Yeah, that's for the hotline, and also WhatsApp. If you want to text in or call by WhatsApp, you can do the same thing. Mm-hmm. So over to you again.
Yeah, I'm not really, haven't really deciphered merchandise before, but I know that it relates to mer is water, like marine, and it relates to the shipping.
That's right.
Where it was originally the shipping trade, you know, and if you break down the word import, you know, which relates to travellers getting goods in and
into the port,
yeah. I didn't, you know what? I didn't even. You beat me on that one there, yeah. So
you taught me well, David.
So basically, if you see that everything that the Westerners, you know, as in the Western movies, give worth to, they call it important. Something that they've imported from somewhere else.
Wow.
So their definition of greatness is from things that have been imported from somewhere else. It's in the very word important. What they've taken into their port. So before they had anything in their port, they didn't consider themselves as people of worth. You know, and then another thing, they had to bring it in by, if they have to bring it in a port, it's coming via a ship. You know, and so basically they're shipping it in. You know, so that's why everything that is important to them requires ownership.
Oh wow! Listen, I'm so fascinated. I mean, I've got so many other things studying. I can't get into etymology at the same time, but you were teaching me a lot. You know, and Shen, you know, very nice. I really got to give him a lot of credit as well. When he said understanding, I was like, wow, you know, this knocked me out. But
I have it on record that anyway, I'm not even going to go.
No, we can go there. No worries. But
I've been introducing quite a few words into the vocabulary, yeah.
I'm sure. I see him looking up to you. You know, the man's such a wonderful young man.
Yeah, he's great.
But let's get back to worth and merchandising. Right. Through worth, a lot of discrimination took place. And a lot of segregation. What really happened is, before Adam Smith, the Scottish guy, who came in with something about capitalism, I don't really want to go fully into that, but I'll just skirt around it. There was back to worth and merchandising. So we'll do worth first, yeah? What is worth? What do you think worth is? Not a definition, but what do you think it is?
Oh, I'll have to come back. I'll come back to you. I'll come back on that. My brain's starting to tick over to explore it, so I'll come back.
But I'll tell you, you know, the School of Economic Science taught me that worth is ownership of land.
Right.
And what makes that make so much sense is that land does not grow. So if you have more of it, somebody's going to have less of it.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? And that was the principle on which worth was, you know, if you went somewhere to get some goods on, let's say, credit, yes? Remember, there is such a thing as letter of credit. You mentioned importing and of course exporting. Importing, you don't have to have physical money. You just say letters of credit, and your bank will back you, because if they know you own so much land, they don't need money. The land is your collateral by which you utilize, business.
And if you come from a place of scarcity, as I said, the truth is in the word. If you listen to the word, what The doctor just said he said the word land. Now, if you just meditate on the word land, if you are calling something land, that means you must have come from somewhere else to land on it. So that's an admission that it's not yours in the first place. And then what do you put on land when you've landed on it? Because it's not yours in the first place, you just landed on there. You call it what? Foundation. So that means you've landed on something and you found it. So you found it and you want to put your nation on it, so you found your nation on what you found and landed from somebody else's property. And now you want to import it to yourself and call yourself for ownership of something that's not yours in the first place. It's a mission of the word. Listen to the word land. Yeah.
Let me say this, David. It's so interesting, because we can define these things to a finer point.
Refine these. Refine what they've taken away, so we can refine what they've taken away and brought down to their level. D means to bring down and destroy things.
Yeah. You see, for me, it is important that people know this. Because we're living now in the time of regeneration, they call it. And then, of course, what about what they're doing to every area now? What do you call that? You can't buy a house in Hackney anymore because it's so close to the cities. It's £1 million. I mean, which poor person is going to have, who don't have that kind of money, can get a mortgage? Young people can't get a mortgage. That is discrimination. Do you understand? So prejudice, discrimination, all of these segregation is all part of the racial bias against people. And so very soon where I live, I was told only yesterday, the local government is going to be knocking down where I live. And we've known this for a couple of years now, but nobody's actually sort of informed us formally about it.
Well, it's been deliberately meant to pass by us, to buy us out of the equation, racial bias.
Look at that. Look at that, man. I tell you, I needed you here. So, I'm not joking. This man is awesome. He can break down any word, and you would be surprised that we've been using words which we needn't be using at all, because we don't fully understand the complication of the toxic language which we are forced to.
That's right. For the race, because we don't need to race. When you're first, you ain't running no race.
Just you all listening out there to me and David, we're not playing. We're here to talk about racism, but you've got to break it down in different
the word
ways.
says
not
it.
Just colour. There's racism in other ways.
Yeah, the words. If you analyse and meditate, they're actually telling you. The master deceiver tells you to your face what they're doing.
Yeah.
And basically, when you're first, you're chilling. You're chilling. Oh, I think we've got a call.
I think we've got a caller. It's just here. I'm trying to put it together.
Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Hello.
Hello, caller.
Hello, caller.
Are you there?
Caller.
Speak with us, please.
Hello, caller. Could you call back, caller? We had a little bit of difficulty getting through to you. So once again, could you call back and we'll put you through. Thank you. Lyndon.
Thank you for calling in. We want to hear what you're saying. So could you help us out? We sort of technically was a little bit here we go.
Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Yes, caller, we can hear you now.
Yeah, greetings. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yes, we can hear you now. Slight technical fault on my side.
Yeah. I'm glad that you're talking about words this morning and you're touching on racism. Yeah. I've just tuned in. I just wanted to ask you a question. Do you know this word called drapetomania?
No. Can you spell that, please?
D-R-A-P.
A-P.
Yeah, E-T-O-M-A-N-I-A.
Can I respell it and you can confirm it's DRAP ETON
M for mother.
I beg your pardon. Got it. OMANIA. Thank you so much. Thank you. David,
just hoping that.
Yeah, could you? Yeah. So what do you say? It's broken down as?
Oh well, I pronounced it Drapetomania.
Yes.
And I don't know if you could quickly research it.
Yeah, certainly. We will do that while you're on the phone. You go ahead and speak to David.
Yeah. What's your understanding of the word?
And this is where I was going to bring in word sound and power. That when you make up a word or you bring something into the arena, you give it power. Yeah. So one of the questions I was going to answer as an etymologist, as a wordsmith, are there new words that you're going to be putting into the dictionary or into the universe to counteract a lot of the negative words that are out there that are kind of entrapping us? Because the word Drapetomania is a word that was, I think he was a psychologist in 1851 that made up this word to say that the black slaves, if they were running away, this was a condition they had for running away. In other words, that to free yourself from something was an illness as a slave. So that word was called Drapetomania. Yeah. In other words, what they were saying, it was a mental illness to run away.
Yeah.
So if you were a slave who ran away, and they caught you, they would say, well, he's suffering from Drapetomania. So I just want you to know, if you know about this word, which was in 1851, which is an American, I think he was psychologist, or his name was Samuel A. Cartwright.
Yeah, we've got it. We've got it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So when you say this, when you're bringing into words, I don't know why I do look at the word sound and power that sometimes some people make up words to kind of put you in a box and you can't move forward or sideways, or it's like used as a control. So as a wordsmith, as an etymologist, as someone researching, should not some new words be put into the universe to empower us?
Well, you see, words can be used just like a knife. They can be used two ways. It can be used to cut things, or they can be used for food. So basically, what you really have to do is make people aware of these words. So once you know the meaning of the words, then you can then you know the reality, what of the truth of the matter. So the first step is to just let people know what these words really, what they really stand for, what the roots are. And then once you do that, then your brain would automatically open up to new ideas, new conceptions, and free yourself, as you say, from being stuck by the label of the word. You know, so yeah, it will be sort of. I prefer to just use the words that we've got already, but give the real interpretation. Just as you brought to light now that they've actually believed that when you run away from captivity, it was a form of a psychological madness. So you're mad to run away from the slave master. So I really like that, because now that word's been sort of taken out. That's another thing. They take out the words out of our vocabulary, and it becomes a covert operation that silently they think that we are mad from running away from them as the superior being.
Yeah. And I suppose there are many other words that are in the arena that are used because I think the brother Lyndon was talking about, I don't know if he's touched on racism, but talking on racism, we hardly ever hear that word anymore. What we hear is diversity, we hear privileges. So it's almost like, when you hear the word racism, it sounds so powerful that something is going on. So to desensitize it, they now say, oh, he's got privileges. He's got diversity. Yeah. Whereas before you could go on the street or you could point at a person who is being volatile and say, you're a racist. He might just say, well, I'm just using my privilege.
What it is,
you know what I mean? So I'm saying,
big point, my brother. Big point. Can I have a name for you, even if it's a non-de-plume? Just give us a name.
Is it a non-de-plume?
What's non-de-plume?
You can use a non-de-plume.
What's non-de-plume?
A non-de-plume is just a different name that you give.
Right,
A mask, if you like. Yeah. So it's up to individuals if they want to give their real name or they want to give a different name. They call him Paul or Fred or Harry or whatever he wants to be called. Yeah.
Okay.
So now, brother, give us something so we can thank you personally.
Okay. I'm just gonna say today my name I'm going to use is Mr. Alternative.
Mr. Alternative. I love that. I think that's a fantastic name.
And exactly what you're saying is that's what they try to do. They use these different words to all turn the natives around from what they really are.
Oh, wow.
It's called colouring the language.
Wow.
Because colour is also a word that's been taken out of the language now because it's too close to the truth. So what it is, they bring a new word in to hide the real word. Because colour, really, if you look at the last three letters of the word colour, you'll see the word our. The first three letters of the word colour is col, which is short for colony. So our colony, that's what colour really means.
Wow, look at that. Oh, my people, listen to this man. It's incredible. Once you understand exactly what the word means. It's no good using a word and just looking up the sort of British version of what it means. You know, it's what it means to us as a people. You see what I'm saying? Because, you know, a lot of people, I'm going to give you a very quick reference to 2003 because of all the work I've done over so many years in different communities, but especially in my own. Some people got together in the community and said, I must get a gong. One of these New Year's thing. A gong.
Gong, okay,
you know, like MBE and all that stuff. That's when Classford got his, you know, the farm. I'm not criticizing my brother or anybody else. Yeah, it's up to the person whether they wanted it. Well, you know, they asked to interview me on video. And I said, I don't want to be interviewed by anybody, right? They said, well, but this is very important and you're this, you're that, you're the other. I said, oh, it's very nice of you to say that. Yeah, okay, that's fine. But what I would prefer is for you to ask the community. Now, I'm using the word diversity in a different way because it's a diverse community of different nationalities that I've interworked with. And so, therefore, I want them to tell everybody who I am. Well, you know, when they came together, they were so powerful, they demanded that I had a knighthood. And when they told me that, I said, no, thank you. It's the same year that, what is his name? Benjamin Zephaniah also turned down a gong. He did it for his reason, I did it for mine. Yeah, I had Tony Blair's deputy, Gordon Brown's office, down in Northumberland Park with Ben TV interviewing me for this. And a lot of people were disappointed when I said I won't take it. You understand? I got such looks on that time. You understand? And I'm thinking, wow. You understand? But it wasn't about me. To me, it was giving back to the community and saying, I didn't do this for a medal. I didn't do this for a knighthood or any other gong. And I don't want to be associated with the empire. End of story.
Yeah,
that was my number one thing. How could I, you know, who would I be then?
And I just want to, in just what you said, there's also you see, these people, what the biggest thing that they've stolen from us is the language.
Yes.
So that's the biggest thing. It's called stripfo symbolia.
Wow, so, I don't want to know, you know, hey, listen, I'm getting a lesson here in the boss.
Strepfo symbolia.
What?
Strepfo symbolia.
Strepfo?
Strep, so it's T-S-T-R-E-P.
Yeah.
O-N.
Yeah.
Then S-Y-M.
Yeah.
BOLIA. I think that's early. It's Saturday morning. So basically, they've taken. This is the biggest crime. Forget about the pyramids.
Yeah.
They've actually stolen the sounds and the symbols. They strip the strip means to strip.
Yes.
Phone means the sound from the symbols. Strip the sound. So basically, you said so we can't, and then they reverse the process as well. Because if you go to Latin, you see the mechanism that they used is to reverse the symbols from the sound, and now in the language system, they've hidden the sounds in the letters.
Yeah.
You said the word night. The first word in the word night is K, which is silent in English. You're left with night, as in night in the sky. NIG means dark. Yeah. When the darkness is at its height, you get the word night.
Wow.
That's where the word night comes from. Night in Latin means to shine.
Yes.
It means to shine. So when you get in your knighthood, it's because you're shining.
Yeah.
But we'd be given the switch that NIG means something negative. You know. And there's a big thing on Instagram going around what I accidentally, when I was at Speaker's Corner, when I was talking about the surname of the Queen, which is Elizabeth Regina. A surname is who you served under. Yeah. Elizabeth Regina backwards is a Niger.
Wow.
So that's where her power comes from. That's the surname of Niger. And then she relates to Germany, the Germans, yeah. A common word in German, surname in word. Remember, surname is who you served under. A common surname is Schwasch, which means black. Niger. So they call their surnames Schwarzenegger. Like the biggest, one of the strongest, Arnold Schwarzenegger. His surname is Black Nigger. The person who they was under.
Look at that.
You see, so this is how they switch the language around now. Yeah. So that's the process, as you're saying, drape. Because drape, we in school we say we drapes a boy.
Yeah.
You don't realize that's where it comes to. Yeah. You know.
Wow.
You see.
Wow. Listen, Mr. Alternative.
Yes.
Let me tell you something, man. I'm so happy you found this program because, there's a lot more coming out about racism that a lot of people, including myself, didn't know. Do you understand? Racism is not just about against a color. It's against a people. It's against a people, right? So it's against a population of melanated Nubians.
Would you like to contribute, Mr. Altern the natives around?
Well, I did want to ask Brother Lyndon, is there a cure for racism?
The answer short. You want it short? Simple? No. Is there a cure for a psychopath? Do you understand? You have to ask yourself that question. Is there a cure for a narcissist? Is there a cure for a bigot? Is there a cure for a xenophobe? The answer, short and simple, is no. Yeah? And I want to tell you something. I want to see if I can find the research on it now, because I did some research on that. And I want to tell you, did you hear what Trump said in his latest speech? Did you hear anything about that, Mr. Alternative?
Is it about Nigeria?
Well, he said more than about Nigeria. I can't repeat the word that he used, but I'm sure everybody can use their imagination of where excretia comes out. That's what he called us.
Brother Lyndon.
Yes.
I'm kind of straying a bit, but I'm just bringing into something that I see currently. When we look at our political parties, recently, I would say in the last
Can I correct you and say the instead of our?
Sorry. Excuse my grammar.
No, right. It's not about grammar. It's about I'm not part of the political system, so
it doesn't matter if your mother's in the room. We don't mind your grandma being present.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to bring into the reasoning.
Yes.
You've got this political party called UKIP. When UKIP first started out, right, there were some black representatives in the party. I remember Neville Watson, Duke McKenzie. I can't remember. There was a guy from Enfield. I can't remember his name. His name's going to come to me in a minute. And they stood under UKIP as an independent. For their area, because they were supported by UKIP. As the years have gone by, it seems like the agenda has changed, and those people are no longer part of it. Because the real reason, and what we're hearing, let's say, is UKIP. Now, if let's say their agendas are slightly racist, if they're saying that we are taking their jobs, we are taking their women, we are taking all these privilege, why don't we just give them back their jobs and their women and all the things that they're fighting against? Because surely that will stop racism.
Well, you know, my brother, I hear you, and I hear you loud and clear. First of all, let me confirm that a good brother of mine, right, actually was in UKIP. I don't want to give his name because I don't want to diss the brother. Yeah.
No, but you should mention his name.
No, please, my brother. I can only do what I can do. You understand? My style is not to do that. My style is to see him personally and talk to him one-to-one and tell him I'm not happy with him. Yeah? Yeah? Which I did on a huge program on BBC Radio London before. Okay? I trust he's listening. I love you, my brother. I love you because of your intelligence and everything. But when you go and join a racist, openly, overtly racist, I mean, all the political parties are obviously racist, yeah? Because they've only got one agenda, and that is to talk about immigration every time there is a difficulty in the country. Yes?
Yeah, yes.
You know, and then, of course, we are now the scapegoats, yes? And we cannot escape their goat. You understand? We cannot escape that ramming that we get in, headbutting in every possible mental way. But let me go back to the UKIP thing. Look, when I heard my brethren, I joined the UKIP. I phoned him up on a radio program on BBC Radio London, you know, hosted by Dutton Adebayo. Yeah. And the brother was giving me some speeches that was just a copy of the racist Farage group. Yeah? And I said to him, my brother, you know I love you, you know I respect you, and I do. But I can't respect you now because there was a lot of things in the media about UKIP and its racism, and that they would go to any length to be racist, yeah, overtly. And he did what he had to do. So I'm not here to judge no man. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. No man's got to do his thing. But yeah, UKIP was never slightly racist, by the way. Let me correct something you said. UKIP was just Enoch Powell today. Do you understand? All they were doing is copying Enoch Powell. Yeah? And did you know who invited us here in 1948? Enoch Powell. To come and do jobs that his people refused to do. Right? And so we came over and fulfilled that quota. Yes, quota system. We came in a quota system. My daddy came here in a quota system. Yes, to do work that they refused to do. Now, how can that be taking somebody's job? If you don't want the job, it's only going to be there. Somebody else has got to take it. They gave it to us. And then after inviting us and seeing that we weren't really what they thought we were, they thought that we were just going to be sheep, they found a lot of leaders. And they found that black people can live good together and be one. And they didn't like that. And so he came with his so-called infamous speech of rivers of blood. Everybody will remember that. But Enoch Powell had a problem. You know, in the end, he went mad, you know. Yeah? He went mad because if you looked at Enoch Powell's face, you could see a black man there. When he found out, just like John McCain in America, he has black family. When Enoch found out that he came from black people, he went completely mad.
And I think that's the real definition of dystreptomania, because when they went to the ancient lands and saw all of these people with the black noses and that to shoot them off, Napoleon had to fire his cannon, they went completely mad. You know. And I just like to tell you that the biggest lie is the definition of the word racism.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It doesn't relate to a person's ethnic background. That's the biggest lie. Actually, I want all the Rastaman to listen, to this. The word racism comes from the word ras. It's an old Norse word called ras, and it means competition. Yep. So if you look at the word race, it really means competition. That's the reality of the word. It's not related on land. It means competition. Ism makes you, when you put an ism on something, it turns a verb into an action. Yeah. So ism turns a verb into an action. You know, it's like baptism, critic. To put the critic. To criticize someone in action is called criticism. So the ism makes the action of the verb. So the verb is race. Race means competition. That's all it means. It doesn't relate to land, doesn't relate to identity, it's competition. So basically racism is putting competition into action. That's all racism is. So they're telling us we shouldn't be competitive with them. That's why they put reverse. They've done strep false in bowler on the word to tell you that racism is bad. But everything they do is in competition. It means competition. That means that anytime they have a competition, they're being racist because they have the competitive psychology in their brain cell, because they've come from a place of scarcity, so they see people in abundance as competition. So that's what racism is. It means to compete against somebody else rather than live in harmony, and they harm us with the money to take away our harmony.
Look at that. Wow. And of course, you know, racism bears resemblance to fears. And what you said is competition. Competition. What they do not get is that we are not competing with them because we don't have to.
No, but they're competing with us. So from this day on, if anybody tells you racism, it's because they're in competition with you, and they don't want you to compete or fight back with them. So that's why they say it's a bad thing. When secretly, that's in their mentality. Everything they do is in competition, but they don't want us to be racist to them. They don't want us to compete with them, because anything we compete in them with, we win. So now it's time to be competitive. So let's get competitive and let's all start to be racist.
Look at that. But, you know, I'm glad you said that, actually, because now it might highlight for a lot of people when they hear about the Black Wall Street, you know, and how they burnt down this wonderful, you know, institution that we made for ourselves. Then they copied it, and now they've got their own, you know, Wall Street going on and making money. And what a lot of black people do not understand is that Mr. Jet was the only black man that actually went and showed these people that you don't have to sell an entire share to one person. You can sell one share, and that one person can divide it up into 8 quarters. Do you understand what I'm saying? Of shares. So me and you and Mr. Alternative, for instance, could actually say, yeah, we're going to buy some shares, and you get 1/3, Mr. Alternative get 1/3, and I get 1/3. They didn't know that because it's bought as one. Yeah? But what I'm saying about Mr. Jet is the black man who showed them that you could make it into proportions, and then you would make a lot more money. Because if I can buy 1/4 of a share, 1/3 of a share, 1/2 a share, 3/4 of a share, 2/3 of a share, then somebody else, the broker, can sell the other 1/3 or 1/2 or whatever. Can you not see how they're making a lot of money? Yeah, off of us and off of our brains.
And I just want to incorporate what you said, and I want to take back what I said. Let's not be racist. Let's take in the science of what you said of sharing, because that's what we had. Right. Our science is of sharing. Right. So let's become sharers again and shareholders again.
That's how they had shareholders.
So this is what we are about. We're about sharing. So they're about competition, and that's why when you try to use the word, because they haven't told you the real definition of what racist means, and you go into court to say about your ethnic ethnic background, and it doesn't mean that. It means competition. That's why it becomes legal fiction. So when you go to court and try to claim racism and you're using the wrong definition, you're saying ethnicity when it's actually competition, you're creating legal fiction. And that's why when you go to court under the term of racism, you're not going to get no big outcome because it's legal fiction. It doesn't really exist unless you're using the correct term of competition. And they've even taken it out now. The police, they've lowered you can't accuse police of being racist anymore. They've taken that equation out of the formula. So now the police are now able to impose themselves more and more on us as people because this terminology is legal, is fictitious.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I just turned the page of my book which I scribbled in some of my research, and the Race Relations Act which we mentioned earlier on. They said it was criticized for failing to address vital areas where discrimination was most prevalent. This led to the passing of the 1968, remember that was 1965, the 1968 Race Relations Act, which made unlawful acts of discrimination, and I'm coming back to the word unlawful. I'm coming back to the word. Give me 1 second. Acts of discrimination within employment, housing, and advertising were just some examples. But the magic words there are unlawful acts, which means that there are lawful acts, as you've just said. So it just confirms. And
I just want to go back to Mr. Alternative, who brought the word drip. How do you say it? Drip? What drip was it?
I said Dreptomania.
Yeah, Dreptomania. Now listen, I want you to listen carefully to these words that they're giving us to use. Ineffective words. They're giving us perfectly ineffective tools to use. As I said, racism is legal fiction. It doesn't mean ethnicity. So when you're shouting out racism, you're using the wrong definition. It means competition. Now I want everybody to listen to the word discrimination. You're dissing the criminal.
Yes.
That's trying to take your things away.
Yes.
So discrimination is a bad word.
Yes.
But they're giving it us to use. That we shouldn't diss the criminal who's taking our things, who's draping us up in competition. Competition is really racism. So no, racism is somebody who's in competition with you, the shareholders.
Mr. Alternative, I want to give you a lot of credit, my brother, and I'm going to say, if you think of anything else before we finish this section, which is going to be in about 15 minutes, can you ring us up again for this moment? I would like to go to a break very soon, so keep talking with us, Mr. Alternative, and we'll just fade everything and make sure that your point that you've made is well copied, into this program. So don't go away. Just hold on for a second and take a deep breath, because here we come.
Are you ready for a brand new radio show? It's a platform for you to express your experience or views on any topic or theme. The Black Experience Show is the only 5-star rated show on radio, presented by the mental farmer, Dr. Lyndon Walters.
Greetings, and thank you for helping us to have that little break. We needed it. And I'm sure you probably did as well. So we're back with you, live in the studio. Just reminding you, you're listening to Bless Radio, 92.9 FM, and of course on the internet through the link. Bless Radio, nice radio station. I love the amenities here. I love the ownership, and big credit to the owners of Bless Radio for giving I and I a chance at this sort of juncture. It's really something that I'm an expressionist, you know what I'm saying? So you just give me, and of course, officially, I'm a broadcaster and a journalist just by being an author, So I'm very happy that I can present my own program, and with the help of all my brethren and sisterins, we'll be going through with this and making sure that you know exactly where we are. We were talking about racism earlier on. We'll finish on racism at 12 o'clock, and that'll be the section of the program. Unfortunately, we've only got a certain amount of time, and we've got other things designed in this program for you. We want to give you as much variety as we can without confusing you. So at each stage, we will tell you where we start and where we finish. Me and Jammers were just talking in the break, and a couple of things flew up into my consciousness and his consciousness, and we just want to share it with you. We talked about the so-called racists who are competing with us, because that's what Jammers has just actually alluded to, because he's found out that it's not just about color. There are other sort of forms that is suffering, and it's because of competition. Now, obviously, I want to speak directly to all the man-dem out there who is saying that we don't leave you no legacy, and my father and my grandfather and my grandmother and my mother don't leave you no legacy. Well, that's not quite true. The legacy we leave in you is how to survive within this terribly racist, xenophobic, bigoted, void. Yes, if you can have the president, the head of a country, being overtly racist, and I'm dealing Mr. Trump, as he calls himself, and first of all, he's a fraud, because his name isn't Trump. His name is Drumpf, Trumpf, and he and his family comes from Germany. Yes, his grandfather was kicked out of America because of, things that he was doing that was not legal or lawful. And he ran back to Germany and then found his way back to America. And I want to tell you this, and I'm not afraid to tell you this, and I want anybody else to come and challenge me on it if they feel so. I can give you research upon research, so you be it on your head. I was on Facebook last year, and Trump had just got in, and give every man a chance, yeah? Let's be fair. But the man's come up and he said who he is. And when they were talking about he was running for office, somebody said to him that the KKK was going to, bankroll him, to the presidency. And how can he accept that when he knows he's coming from the KKK? You know what he said? He knows nothing at all about the KKK, which is a lie. Somebody put a picture on Facebook of Donald Trump at about 27, 28, 29 at the most. Young man. And the picture, I will describe the picture to you. Alright? This is radio, so you can't see it. But you can go on YouTube and you probably find it anyway. There was a picture of Donald Trump standing in the middle of his two parents. Dad on one side, his father, and his mother on the other side. And do you know, both of them were wearing KKK uniforms. Can you believe it? Huh? And it just shows you how corrupt politics is, where you can find a man who is so openly narcissistic, who is so openly xenophobic, who is so openly a bigot, and who is so openly a racist. And he's the president of the United States. No wonder Rastaman say, born politics. God, we're not into it. It's not politics. If you read my book, you will see I refer to it as politricks. And my father taught me that word. He said, son, don't believe in politics, because if you can't spell politics, you can't spell polyflea, you can't spell politics. And he said, it's not politics, it's politricks.
And that's why you're here as an elder, because as they say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, because the old dog can't be tricked no more.
That's right.
And I'm glad you're on Blessed to show us how to be less tricked by their behaviour, be less addicted to their behaviour, and be less influenced by their behaviour. That's why we're here on Blessed.
Especially the influence.
Yeah, and also we're gonna show you how to trump their behaviour when you go to our ancient science of the hieroglyphs. and go to Hebrew, then you can break down the word. As I said, the word race relates to ras. Ras relates to current. Current is generated by Ra, our ancient word for the sun.
Yes.
You go back to the first letters in the word Ra, which is the sun, you get the hieroglyph of the mouth. So the ras, current that flows through our mouth, this is what they're in competition to. You look at the A, you get the ox's head. If you look at all the children, when the teacher asks you where does that A come from, they say it's Greek, but you turn the A upside down, you see the ox's head. It comes from us. So basically the mouth, and it stands for your spirit. It goes back to the vulture, which you can regenerate your spirit. So basically they're in competition with what comes out of our mouth and our spirit. Ra is in the word racism. Then you get to the C. The C makes the sound of an S, as in seek.
Yes. Soft C.
Soft C.
Yeah.
So the C in ancient Kemet was the basket, which is how you carry yourself outwardly, and it was the folded cloth, how you carry yourself inwardly. So basically they're attacking how you carry yourself outwardly and inwardly. They're attacking your spirit, and they're attacking what comes out of your mouth. Racism comes from the word ras, which our Rasta man know is the current. How is your current that flows through you, our current of our harmony and our rhythm. That's what they're in competition with our rhythm. Just look at the music, how we interpret music. We can just dance without any. This is the power that we have.
Absolutely.
And this is where the word race comes from. Race is the competition they have with just us being who we are being. So racism means competition.
Yes.
That's all it means. And they're in competition with you. Simple as that. And I'm happy. And also Mr. Alternative, you did call in the break, so if you'd like to call back, I'm glad you called, because I think we've made a reality there. Today we've actually in the studio broken the formula of what racism really is.
Yeah.
It's competition.
Yeah. And I tell you something, did you know that, the war ministers around the planet, they're given that job to compete against another country. War is a competition against another country. So what you say, my brother, makes so much sense to me.
And it goes back to what we were saying, grammar is the war of words. This is the war of words. So everything is about competition. And as we during the break, me and the doctor was discussing, basically they're in competition with you, but they don't want you to compete with them. So that you mustn't be racist, but they can be racist to you, as you were saying about the boxing.
Yes. Well, let's just go there straight away. I mean, in boxing, which used to be, a very, very bad thing to be in, because you would have the big guns actually who were never been black. They've always been white. They were in charge, and they were the mafia of sports. Okay, boxing, of course. Yeah, remember, boxing went way back to before the gloves. Jack Johnson, he used to knock people out for fun, and then they didn't like that competition, so he had to fight 2 people instead of 1. And he battered the 2 people again. And now they put 3 people on him. I mean, this is a competition. But it just shows it took 3 or 4 of them to really give him a good sweat. You understand?
And I think that's a perfect analogy, Breezy, because if you really look what boxing is, you'll find out what the doctor's really just throwing in the air. What boxing is competition, but competition against what? Well, let's analyse boxing, trumping their system and going back to the hieroglyph. The B stands for the body, which is your house. The ox, as we said earlier, is your spirit. So box, the word box means it's a competition of spirit. How strong is you hold your spirit in you. That's what boxing is. B, the ox. The ox stands for the spirit. So the competition is against your spirit. So they're in competition with your spirit, and they're telling you can't be racist, you can't be in competition with them, but they're in competition with you.
And that's what makes you see a racist can't hide, much as some of them want to hide. Yeah, I've seen lots of TV programs where, they, apart from a caller who came on and really let them know, their business, their own business, there was hardly any black person who could say anything. As soon as they started to say something that was sort of positive, from a black perspective, then what they did was they all jumped on that one person and said, you're this, you're that, yeah? Because they weren't allowed, as you said quite rightly, my brother, to compete. You understand? So I'm saying to people, listen, all of this stuff about black history and all that, let me tell you something. Every month on Blessed Radio is Black People Time. You get me? Yeah. Every month is our month. It's Black Month. It's our month. It's about our story. Yeah,
because I don't
make
even,
sure of that.
I don't even like the reason, because that's another. You see, we've got to start listening to these words that they're telling us. His story, that's him.
Yeah,
and a story
about you.
A story is facts and fiction mixed together. Yeah. So it's an untruth. We don't need to have no story. We have a reality, and the reality is constant. So every day of this life on the planet is our reality, and there's no separate. Because when you're saying history, it's like you're looking at the past, but the past is also the present and the future all in one. So we've got to stop using this word, and that it's our reality. This is who we really are. That's our power source and that's our example. When you look back into ancient Kemet, that's what you're supposed to be doing now. That's triggering your memory code of this is what you really are. We've just been trained to be weaker than we really are.
Yes, and that's called subservience. Yes, unfortunately, a lot. Can you go to the line? A lot of black people, do not help ourselves as a race. You understand? A lot of black people are subservient. And I want to say this before I go. Everybody must know now about the H&M situation. Yes? Remember the H&M situation that just happened with the young boy? And he was wearing a t-shirt, a hoodie, and it said something about monkey, Now, I've got something here I would like the people to hear. So just let me frame it up, and, what we'll do. What we will do is to just have a look at what this young boy has been through. And I want to bring up a point. I want to bring up a point about what I've been told. Yeah? I've been thinking about this young boy and what his life's going to be when he grows up, when all of his friends, and you know how cruel friends can be. Yeah, I've just found it. Listen to this. The mother of this young boy who was wearing this shirt by H&M has come out publicly and said that, she's not upset that they let him wear that t-shirt. Imagine that. It's your child, them saying he's the coolest monkey in the jungle by, making him wear that, yet his white counterpart was wearing I'm the coolest one in the jungle. I mean, that is what we call covert racism.
Covert competition.
Yes, competition, competition.
It's competition, that's right.
Because if you think of convert,
they try to convert you.
They're trying to convert you, but subliminally. Subliminally, right? You will agree with me? Yeah. But I want to play this. Can I play this, please?
You'll have to play it
take that one of them phone things. Take that one of them, yeah. Okay, so if you can just plug me in, please. Yeah? You ready? Just let's go for it. Let's go. Ready? Can you go for that?
Oh, so y'all not gonna shop at H&M no more? Okay, we'll see. The internet is on fire this week because of an ad campaign from H&M which displays a young black boy with the words "coolest monkey in the jungle," where his Caucasian counterpart wears a shirt that says "survival expert." It doesn't take much to understand how that can be offensive. And I just gotta warn you right now, the words that I'm about to say are not for people that are sensitive. Whether you're white, whether you're black, you're Latino, Asian, no matter what you are. I have no issue with any group of people. I have love in my heart for everyone. However, I gotta keep it real, because I'm about to give it to you raw. When this came across my screen and everybody was so angry, was I angry? No. Was I surprised? No. I was disappointed. Let me tell you why I'm not angry about this situation. Because I expected. Before the H&M ad, Oprah was the first black woman to be awarded the Cecil B. DeMille Award at the Golden Globes. And it was beautiful. I felt so proud, so happy. And then in the same thought, I thought to myself, how is she the first African American woman to win this award? How is it 2018? How is it possible we still have the first black anything if all this hate and racism and discrimination was so far in the past? I am proud that we are making progress, but black people have been talented for generations. We have had stellar and phenomenal black people. That is what was on my mind the day the H&M coolest monkey in the jungle came across my screen. I looked at it and I said, we're here again. When have these big corporations ever cared about you? Do you know how many big corporations have unapologetically voiced their dislike for people of color? Remember when Tommy Hilfiger was a clothing line to wear? And then Tommy Hilfiger said he don't like black people. So y'all stop wearing Tommy Hilfiger. And then all the rappers was talking about popping Cristal. Yeah, we popping Cristal by the bundles. And then Cristal said they don't like black people, so then y'all had to find another liquor. A lot of these high-end clothing companies, they don't like black people. That's not a surprise. Gucci, Louis, they don't rock with you. Kanye West told you guys. He hit a glass ceiling. Kanye West went to intern for some of these high fashion and big name high end companies, and they wouldn't even let that man design. He couldn't get credit for his ideas. They cool with taking your ideas, but they don't want you to own nothing. Don't get it twisted. And I'm not talking about all white people. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about all white people. I'm talking about a certain select few. You ever wonder why majority of the star players and athletes are African American, yet we don't have no African American owners? You ever wondered that? And then when Sean Combs, P. Diddy, who is a multi-millionaire, when he steps out, he says he wants to buy the Carolina Panthers. They laughed at him. Just for Diddy saying that he's thinking about buying the Carolina Panthers. They laughed at that black man. So excuse me if I don't share your outrage on this H&M situation. I love you. But I'm past being mad. I'm past being angry, y'all. There's a term that said, once you know the nature of the beast, you understand why the beast does what it does. Since we're speaking about the jungle, if there's an alligator, and you know an alligator is vicious, you know that, and all your friends know that, and one of your homeboys or homegirls jumps into the lake with the alligator, who you gonna be more mad at? The alligator or your friend who jumped in? I'm gonna be mad at my friend. You knew there's alligators in there. You can't get mad at a dog for barking. That's what dogs do. You can't get mad at a duck for quacking. That's what ducks do. You gotta stop getting mad at these bigots. That's what bigots do. Not only was I not outraged, I expected it. The first thing I thought was, how did the parents allow that? Why were they not conscious that their child was essentially representing young black boys around the world? And the people at H&M did not put two and two together. People have used the excuse, oh, well, they're not from America, you know, it's the UK. That's not an excuse. No matter where in the world you go, there are people who don't care too much for black people.
In light of threats of racial violence in Poland and Ukraine, but Mario Balotelli, who has been the subject of racial abuse from Porto and Juventus fans in the past.
Yeah, we sadly see all too often racism in football across the world. Still, we have players who stand up and speak out. Indeed, Barcelona and Brazilian defender Dani Alves was preparing to take a corner when a banana got thrown at him, and without skipping a beat, he picked up the banana, peeled it, and he decided to take a bite.
I'm not really taking this protesting of H&M. I'm not taking it serious because I know a lot of y'all gonna be mad for a good week, and then you're gonna go right back to H&M next week. You're going to sneak right back up in H&M because, unfortunately, a lot of young black people are controlled by the brand that's on their chest. We got to start putting our values in these companies. I just have a question. Everyone who is angry, everyone who is outraged, are you angry enough to support a black-owned business? Are you angry enough to take your money couple of blocks up the street, to that young guy, that young black, that young girl who designs jewelry, and you know she's talented? Are you angry enough to put your money out of the hands of people who don't care about you and don't even want you in their offices? I just want to know. If you're not angry enough to invest in black-owned businesses and to lift up people in your community who are trying to better themselves, what are we even having this conversation for? To the consumers, you going to support black businesses or not? To the black business owners, hold your company to a value of excellence. Show up on time for your clients. Don't just do the service. Don't just perform, but overperform. Go out your way to satisfy your clients who are spending money with you. We need to lift each other up. This little anger that you feel, you need to take it and you need to be proactive and make a change, or else y'all just fussing. That young man is not the coolest monkey in the jungle. That young boy is the king of Wakanda. It's a young king. It is 2018, and we're about to get one of the first black superhero movies, Black Panther. Are you going to support that black director, Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, and the rest of the cast, Lupita Nyong'o, and all black cast? One of the first black superheroes cast in Africa, y'all. What we gonna do? We gonna keep crying about that? Or we gonna support and love our people, love our culture, love our women, love our brothers and sisters? We put our value in things that people say is great when we're already great ourselves. If you're a Caucasian person that's watching this and you don't understand, you should be just as compassionate about black issues as you are to any other issue, whether it's sexual assault, whether it's gay bashing, whether you're upset about women being discriminated against, whatever it is, you should be just as upset as you are any other issue we face as Americans. Martin Luther King once said, "An injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Be great, be blessed. Once again, it's your boy Kylie, keeping it 100. Always, somebody gotta do it.
Listen, let me just say this. I trust you listen to that and bear from it the fruits of whatever fruits you want to come from it. You cannot get fruits until you plant the seed. I, today, with my co-presenter today, David Jammers, wonderful etymologist, but a wonderful man, full of spirit, that's so pure. Let me explain something to you. We won't go any further with racism today because we have to use the program as it's designed. But I trust you've had a good listen, and it's not too late to phone us or to text us. I am giving you my email address if you want to write to me about it. So it's info, I-N-F-O, at lyndonwalters.com. That's info at lyndonwalters.com. That's Lyndon, L-Y-N-D-O-N, Walters, W-A-L-T-E-R-S.com. That is the end of the racism section, and we're just going to have a break, and we'll see you on the other side.
Are you ready for a brand new radio show? It's a platform for you to express your experience or views on any topic or theme. The Black Experience Show is the only 5-star rated show on radio, presented by the mental farmer, Dr. Lyndon Walters.
Welcome back on the other side of the break. Thank you very much for being very patient with us. We were steaming earlier on. There was smoke everywhere in the studio, coming through our ears, our mouths, every other orifice. Because you know what? We suddenly cracked the code of racism. And that is meant celebrating. So we're finished with racism, but for saying that next week we'll be back on racism because there's so much more to bring to you. Yeah, and we want you to come and share your personal experiences with us, or somebody you know that's been through racism. It would enhance the program and, you know, make sure that you realize this is your platform. It's not just our platform. We've provided this platform for you. If you've never had a racial issue, come in and tell us. If you have, come in and tell us. We want to hear your contribution. This section of the show, anyway, I want to thank my brother Jammers for that section. But this section of the show is known as... Thank you, you just handed me something. Is known as the interview. And we will come to that in just 1 second. So can I, as a scientist and a coach, ask you about your reading habits?
Right.
At that time.
Well, my reading habits. This is my reading habits.
Mm-hmm.
I will read 3 books at the same time. So I'll read a piece of one book, a piece of another book, and it's like for me, my brain starts to go into overdrive. It like can't process all the information, and it starts to turn over at a high level. So it's like my brain starts spinning. So I'll read a piece of 3 books at the same time. I wouldn't read one book all the way through. I read a piece of one, piece of, and that's what I find.
And that's when, since you were young.
We
want to go back to when you're young.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go from here?
I just talk and you can tell me when to stop, really.
Well, of course.
I missed that certain element when I started to get into the music. Then we started to get involved in like house parties, and that brought in organising flyers and organising people and organising parties. So I didn't realise that I had a kind of marketing element, and that brought the creativity. Now talking to you now, I just realised everybody's got the creativity, but it comes out in different forms. You know, it can be
different times,
and it could be. It could work with us, or it could be detrimental to us. But it's the same element. So the creativity from the art came into designing the flyers, designing the prints. So I used to do, because at the time we didn't have these big printing companies. Right. So I used to do hand-drawn flyers and.
Wow, yes. Hand-drawn. Oh man!
There was quite a thing at the time. people never seen that kind of.
Stuff.
So I used to draw the flyers, and you used to get the paper with the letters on it. Where you scribble out to get the letters. So I didn't have a computer or nothing like that. So I used to go to the sweet shop and get these letters, these transfer letters that you scribble out onto to do the letter. Yes, I used to do hand-drawn flyers and stuff like that. Yeah.
You know, you are so inspirational that off here we'll get to it when we have our meeting. There's so many things coming up for business propositions, but carry on.
Yeah, so that creativity then I didn't realise it's like marketing strategy. You know, we used to do, because as well, I think I must have got that from my dad, because my dad always used to have a smile on his face, and he always used to sort of be dancing, or doing some kind of foolishness. So I still got that kind of in me, that kind of jovial kind of creativity, and plus I'm left-handed as well, so my mother always used to cuss me, always be awkward, and being a left-hander.
I know, I am left-handed too.
So I used to find things awkward to do, so I was awkward. So basically, I always used to. What I noticed is I always do the opposite. I'm more extreme, because I'll either do something not at all or extreme. I haven't got no kind of middle ground with me, and that's what I find is maybe being a left-hander. I think I see things in the opposite way, So I always do things in a different way to what's there. It's like I find it boring being doing the same thing the same way.
Did you realise what causes you to get bored?
No.
When did you get bored at that time? What made you choose to feel bored?
I think when something's set, when something is not creative, when something in the set pattern, when a pattern comes out, that you know what the pattern's going to be.
So it's predictable.
Predictable. Yeah, that's it. Then you start to think of different ways of doing things. My mind doesn't stick on one thing in a certain way like that. If there's something there, my mind's always trying to figure out, a way around it, or is there another way you can do it? You know, I think like a child would do, it will see something, and it's curious, you know.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's such. I mean, I recognize it, by the way, because I was born left-handed.
Right.
Unfortunately for me, in those days, being a left-handed person in a right-handed world was not acceptable.
Yeah, in a certain So I used to get cussed. I can't remember what the term was.
So my dad said, well, look, learn to use your right hand, and you know, you'll get very far. You know, later on, when you're at home, you can use your left hand to write and stuff, but when you're doing your work, because I turn the paper upside down, so literally the top of the paper would be down here, and I'll be writing like this. And that was not acceptable.
Funny enough, I've been told only recently that the way I write with my left hand is unique. They don't see people writing how I write my left hand. Because I don't turn the paper around or twist my hand in a certain way. I've got my hand in a way that, and I use my fingers in a different way that people don't really see, like left-handers use their hands, you know. So
but isn't that something? Because I remember something. I remember in my time, teachers and parents as well used to say, don't hold a pen or the paper, that pencil that way, hold it this way, and they would actually set your hand, and I'd say, I don't feel comfortable.
Oh, I'm just talking to you now. What it is, me doing that art enabled me to reproduce the letters with my left hand. I didn't realise it until talking to you now.
Wow.
Yeah, I was one of the neatest writers in my school, but I didn't realise it's me drawing the art enabled me to put my hand in a certain way that I was able to put right, left hand, because you let's say it's awkward, it look awkward, but I write left-handedly in a stylized way, you know.
But then whichever way we go, it's natural to us.
Yeah.
End the story, to the individual. You know, so we're not people who follow patterns boringly. You understand? And I really feel what you just said, because I'm like, oh, why should I? See, that's what makes me introduce Lyndon's upside down theory.
And another thing, people are satisfied by having a set way of doing things, you know. But that's the thing.
But that's more the logical mind. See, we although we need our logical mind at some point, it could have got us killed if, as survivors, when the big pterodactyls and all these were flying around, you know, they would have killed us. If we were going to say, oh, I wonder if it's hungry. You know what I'm saying? I wonder if this lion is hungry. I can see a lion coming. Like, no way. Because we're highly creative, we would have sensed that danger straight away, and whatever we had to do to escape, we would have done. So, tell me some more about yourself, David, please.
Just a little side, but I think that's why society kind of is created in a certain way, where other people don't fit into the...
Well, society means, you know, a format.
Yeah, but so it doesn't don't fit, you know, you can be seen as... So if you've got your children out there or whatever, who they're not... Maybe they don't look like they're succeeding at school. That you just see what talents they have got and let them develop that talent.
I'm all for that. Because you know what, David, I've been in many schools and I've been advocate for young children and their families. And most of the thing I learned is that there is nobody asking that child or those children what is their preference for learning. So you're absolutely right. So back to you.
Yes. That's it. So I started organising like parties, dances, events, meeting promoters, and events got bigger and bigger. And then one of my friends, my cousin's friend, became one of my best friends, and basically I was like the bookworm person, the nerd, the philosopher, or whatever, the reasoning person, and he was a roadman, a so-called roadman, but not really roadman, a survivalist, I'd say that. And he had to survive on the street. And then he kind of...
his talent, right?
Yeah, his talent. So he kind of showed me road, you know what I mean? How the road is a skill, you know. People ain't saying it's a skill when you've got to survive without money, or you're meeting certain elements of society and you can mingle with them and get through. So people are like this in the road, man, but no, this is how this is the hard element that we're in now, and it's a unique skill to have, is to be a roadman, you know. But the roadman has to balance up with the wisdom, you know. You've got to have both. So I think both of us benefited from it. Because I was always a logical reasoning, but when you met someone who's ignorant, that reasoning...
Creative reasoning.
Right, creative reasoning. When you met someone who's ignorant, then that didn't work no more.
But why are they ignorant, though? Or they just have a different set of skills?
They might have a different set of skills, but to your skills, they're ignorant.
Well,
so
if normal exists.
So basically, if you listen to ignore means to ignore your ranting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So whatever you're going to say, they're not taking it in, even if certain elements are right. That you could be 100% right.
Yeah.
That the person's got your things.
Can I question you on? See, this is what I'm saying. We've learned these programmings called right and wrong. Mm-hmm. The truth is, it gets us into more problems than anything else. Yeah? Right and wrong does not exist when you're creative. Mm-hmm. Right and wrong does not exist when you have to survive. Do you understand? You cannot have any limitations how to survive.
But what I'm saying is, when there's a blockage, so say if you've bought something, you've lent it to somebody for a certain period of time, and they're not giving it back to you no matter what you're saying. You see, in that time, the talking has to stop, and you have to physically get the thing back.
Well, I'm not saying that is not so. All I'm saying is wrong and right, as we've learned it. This word normal, these words standard. If you drop them, would you still manage to live?
You live in a certain way, yeah. You live in a certain way.
No, but I mean just certain or no certain. Do you still live?
You can still live, but it depends on the standards, you see, what standards you've got.
There goes the standards again. You see, I can see morals and scruples as something attractive, but not everybody does. And I'm not going to say that person is a bad person or a good person. See, what I'm saying is, it's these extremes that's got people where they are in problems. Because to somebody's wrong is my right. To somebody's right is my wrong. So you can never win.
But then there's then there's a controversy there, because one person's saying one thing and the other person's something else.
But there's no controversy if I decide I don't want to apply that to myself. No controversy. It's only controversy if the person wants to compete with me.
Yeah, well, you've got a different way of living in a certain way. So yeah. So
that's my creation.
Yeah, that's your creation.
You understand, and it works because you see, I'm very practical. So I say to people, for instance, I'll give you one very small. I say if any individual doesn't have a philosophy by which they live, and it doesn't have to be somebody else's. It needs to be yours, really. Therefore, they should hire out their brain, because I don't need it. Do you understand what I'm saying? And these things are programming. These things are how they indoctrinate us by telling us what's wrong and right. Yeah. Well,
at that period of my time, anyway, it was obstacles and battle. Is a battleground.
Right. Okay.
And in them circumstances at that time of my journey, this was confrontation as well as confrontation. So the road element, as I say, away from the philosophizing, that was a key element to make me the person I am now. And it's different. And another thing is, you could have one set of views and another person's got a totally different set of views, and it results in some form of conflict. And in that form of conflict, he led me to be skilled in that kind of element, in that kind of battlefield. But another thing is, certain, like the so-called school bullies who used to bully other people at school, they used to love me for some reason. So I've always had that kind of friendship with so-called elements of that society won't want to go near. I've also always had an affinity with the so-called elements that are undesirables.
But doesn't that prove the point I was making just earlier about wrong and right? You see, I remember you saying your friend was a roadman, and that you understand that was just a different set of skills that you at the time didn't have. And you learned that by going out there with him and understanding that it is really a high skill. So if it was wrong to be a roadman in somebody's eyes, say in your eyes, you wouldn't have done it. But you didn't judge. You didn't make any judgment. You trusted your friend, and you went with that friend, and you learned a different set of skills. That's all I was saying earlier, right? Yeah, but anyway, continue.
Yeah, and more than that, it's not really. When I say roadman, that's just a sort of negative.
It's a common term.
It's a negative term that's been applied, really, because it's as I said, roadman really means someone who's a racist. Racist really means somebody who's competitive. So most of the roadmen are competitive, you know. So they're being racist because they're in the race of competition. And to be in a race of competition, you have to be good at mathematics. You know, you have to have a high level of science of mathematics and judging commodities. So that's what a roadman is. A roadman is really a racist. A racist is really someone who's a competitor, who's trying to manage the resources, who's good at managing resources, but they give you the negative tape. So anybody's a roadman is probably excellent at maths. They have to be excellent at maths, but maybe they could apply that skill in a different way, you know. Because my man never used to lose a chess game.
What if I said the roadmen are traders?
Traders, that's it.
And it's just a different commodity, something which we might not want to deal with, but it's a commodity as far as they're concerned.
And that's a term that they hide on, because trade means to raid us. So they come in to raid us by applying a higher price on the commodity than it's really worth. So when you go around your local shopping area, you'll see other people from another nation raiding you by charging you a higher price for the commodities. You know, so that's another. But they're again mathematicians. They're skilled in the art of profit and loss. You know, so yeah, it's
lovely. We've got about 12 minutes. Where can we move to now? From where you were?
Just to these are elements of what maybe who I am today, I suppose, you know.
Well, it's your backbone, right?
Yeah. So that's where I was today. I had children, you know, saw women at a different level, got enlightened by certain great people around, you know, and then it's just led to now. But I said I wish I used to have that love of comics in the superhero, you know. So I felt that I fulfilled that now. By what's happened, that experience in the van has opened my eyes to see.
Well,
basically,
we come to the van next week. Is that okay with you?
Third week then. Okay,
yeah, because
cool.
what I don't want to do is rush and compress your timeline, you know.
Right, okay.
I want to just for you to feel comfortable where you are.